Welcome back, everyone. Today we continue our journey through Anu Pandey's powerful book, Keeping Faith Alive, as we begin chapter 14, Keeping Faith Alive. In this first part, we're focusing on one of the most important aspects of recovery after spiritual abuse, learning to trust again. We'll explore how spiritual abuse damages self confidence, why forming new relationships can feel frightening, and what it means to reconnect with faith without surrendering your independence. Most importantly, we'll discuss how survivors can reclaim their voice, embrace autonomy, and build a life based on trust rather than fear. Let's begin. How are you, Anu?
I'm great, Siddharth. How are you?
I'm good, hey. So, so let's start, Anu. Why does spiritual abuse damage a person's ability to trust themselves?
In an environment that is spiritually abusive, there is a systematic erosion of self trust because of a lot of things that happen in such environments. Like the authority is the primary source of truth. The not only just the information, but how you analyze that information. Information is usually curated for the members who are inside a close knit community. So you're not allowed. I mean, it may not be always obvious thing, but it's an unspoken rule that do not trust what you see, what you hear. Do not trust your senses. So whenever something happens inside the community, outside the community, on the global level, anything, how you perceive that information, how you analyze it, and what conclusion you make out of it, it always has to go through a filter of leaders, how they are perceiving it, or what information they want to pass to it. So, authority is the primary source of any truth. So, what they know, what they understand, how they make sense of anything is the truth. And everybody has to believe that. And it's not that people question this thing or something, it's an unspoken rule. Everyone just follows it. Any personal experiences, any personal if you are perceiving something differently, or if maybe you were the only one who experienced something and nobody was around, so it was just your personal experience and you saw that happen, or you experienced that happening to you first handedly, still it will be invalidated because you are not capable of understanding something as it is, because your senses are not as perfect as leaders. Also, intuition is portrayed as unreliable. A lot of things like if you have any question, if you have any doubt, if you have anything going on that's different from what everybody else is doing, it's clearly made to look like as if something is wrong with you. So if you are trying to go with your gut feelings, if your intuition, then you are told that it's unreliable. Do not listen to yourself, do not listen to your gut feelings, they could be lying to you, your own perception could be lying to you, your senses could be making a mistake. So there is a systematic erosion of self trust. This is one reason. Another reason is that there is a lot of fear conditioning in spiritually abusive environment. Any independent thinking is linked to guilt or fear. Even if you make sense of something in a different way, even if you experience something in a different way and you try to express it to other people, you will be instantly made to feel guilty. And over time, this becomes your own habit also. This speech that this voices that you should not think for yourself, you should not be thinking independently, it becomes internalized voice. And now even if you're alone in a room and you try to uh, think independently about anything, there will be suddenly an immediate sense of guilt or divine fear, something like that. So fear conditioning becomes so strong that after some time, even when nobody is around, even when nobody is controlling you, your own thoughts, your own internalized critical voices start to control you, and you immediately feel guilt, shame, or fear when you try to think independently. And questioning is always associated with punishment or rejection. You cannot overtly ask a question that makes leaders uncomfortable, because if you do so, you will be emotionally punished, you will be emotionally rejected, and that can be very painful, and nobody wants to go through that. And if it's happening like openly, it also sends out message to other people. Look how look, these are the consequences that one has to bear if they try to think independently, or if they try to question something that makes leaders uncomfortable. And also, you know that it can be really embarrassing in front of people, so people avoid it. So this fear conditioning is the second thing. Then dependence on external validation, it's so strong in controlling environments of any kind, not just spiritual, that you are systematically made to doubt yourself, to as I said initially, that there is a systematic erosion of self trust. So now any decision that you want to make, it has to be approved externally by the leaders, even if it's smallest of the things. That it's, let's say it's your birthday and who you want to invite to your home, there should be an approval. And it doesn't always always happen. As I always say, a lot of the things in such environments don't always happen very overtly, very openly. Like, you don't go and ask your leader, who can I invite, and they would not overtly say, no, you cannot invite this person. It all happens on a very subtle level. You already know which are the people that leaders don't like, they don't approve of, and who are the ones that they approve of, or who um, make them feel good about themselves. So you automatically know who are the ones you should be inviting or you shouldn't be inviting. And you're not asking for approval, but you just know which one of these would be approved and which wouldn't be approved. Let's say you want to uh, start a career, and you are collaborating with one of the members inside the community or with someone outside the community. So you know what kind of people this my leader or my immediate leader or the top leader would approve of. So you cannot work with anyone who is not approved of. So there are some unsaid rules that cause this thing, that it just happens automatically. So decisions, whatever decisions you're trying to make in your life, they require approval, you know that, and you make decisions accordingly. And sometimes you have to openly go and ask for approval. So confidence become contingent on authority figures. You cannot just make any decision for yourself and confidently. It just does not happen. So you know that it's not just a way, you don't even think consciously about it, it just happens how it is supposed to happen in such environments. So these are the things, the dynamics that happen inside the community, which cause the gradual erosion of trust of a person in themselves. And a time comes when they completely become dependent on the community for on the group and on the leaders for almost everything.
Awesome. All right, there's a comment here already. This is from Resh Chitan. Hi, Anu. Rebuilding trust will be a challenge because there will always be fears of repetition. What if it happens again? Some rebuild trust out of force or fear.
Yeah, that's very true. When someone gets betrayed in a relationship or in a group, there is always a lot of fear, and it just does not goes away because you left that environment. It stays unless you heal completely, unless you rebuild trust in yourself, rebuild trust in people. And now this time it has to be done through autonomy, through critical thinking, while trusting yourself. It shouldn't be forced by anyone. That's why it is very highly recommended that when you get out of a relationship, do not go into another relationship right away. First heal yourself, try to understand your patterns that enabled that mistreatment or abuse or manipulation. Similarly, when you leave a toxic spiritual group, it is very highly recommended. Do not just enter another group for validation or to prove that, I'm still spiritual. Some people do that just to prove that I'm still spiritual, or I'm still worthy of a group. They would immediately join another group, and the same thing can happen there, because it was not just them, it was your own patterns that let them do that to you, because you could have trauma, you could have unhealed inner child inside you that allowed that behavior to happen. You could be having problems with boundaries, understanding boundaries. You could be a people pleaser, And that's why people took advantage of you. It's not that I'm blaming victims for that. It's not blaming. It's just trying to make you understand how your vulnerabilities, your kindness, or your the good things actually about you made other people use you. So it's good to be a kind person, to be a gentle person, but
Mm.
it's also important to protect that gentleness with a boundary,
Yeah.
with a hard boundary that does not allows people to misuse that. So healing allows you to understand this, that you are a good person. It's good to have empathy, kindness, compassion, but how healing also tells you how to protect that by using boundaries. So now when you understand all that, and when you become uh, self-aware, when you become connected with yourself once again, now if you enter a group, whether it's toxic or a good one, a healthy one, nobody can exploit you like that again.
How can survivors rebuild self-trust and confidence in their own decisions?
It's a long journey, and it's this part of healing. It's not linear. It's full of lots of doubts and confusions and fears. What if I'm wrong? What if I'm wrong for taking back control of my life? For having confidence. Confidence is not seen as a nice thing in spiritually controlling environments. So when someone tries to rebuild their self-trust and confidence in their own decisions, they have to go very slow. And the things that they need to do in this journey is relearning decision making. So every day, make some low risk choices, make small decisions for yourself. It can feel very scary in the beginning because your community taught you that it's sinful to think for yourself. It's sinful to make decisions, independent decisions for yourself, because you could be doing sense gratification, and it's against your spiritual growth. Don't be afraid, because now you know a lot of what was done was abuse. So now you have right to protect yourself. Remember that you have right to protect yourself. You have right to be in a better place, mentally, physically healthy, emotionally, and spiritually. So every day make small low risk choices, like what to wear, what to eat, what source of entertainment to use, whom to associate with, what to read. Unless it's harming anyone or it's harming you, you are allowed to make your choices. Remember that everyone allows that. Scriptures allow you, law allows you to make choices for yourself unless they are harming anyone or you. So initially, but do not make big decisions very early, because you're not used to that, and you're not in a very safe place for that. So initially make small decisions, and gradually keep on increasing the size of those decisions, the complexity of the decisions. Then validate your personal experiences. Notice the accurate perceptions. Whenever you are seeing something, and try to understand that, okay, these are my senses, and I'm engaging them into understanding what is happening right in front of me, and try to trust that. Notice the perception, what you hear, what you see, what you read, what you understand, how you analyze information, and try to trust that. Trust the information before seeking any outside opinion. Yeah, it's true that our senses are limited. Sometimes we're not able to see things as they are. We don't see, hear things clearly as they are, but so are everybody else's. If you can trust your leaders' senses, why can't yours? Because their senses are also imperfect as yours. So trust your observation, trust your perceptions, little by little, to whatever makes you feel, to the level at which it makes you feel safe. Try to trust whatever you see, hear, think, read, or analyze by yourself. And then develop self-compassion also. Now this is very important component. The above two steps that I suggested, you cannot achieve self-trust without this third thing. It's very important to develop self-compassion. Accept mistakes as normal. You have to always remember, some people have this black and white thinking that a good person, a good follower should never make mistakes, a good daughter should never make mistake, a good son should never make mistake, a good mother never makes mistakes. These are black and white thinking. These are cognitive distortions. This is not a healthy way of thinking. Always remember that everyone makes mistake, everyone except God. Even the leaders that you trusted so much, they did make mistakes. They could still be making mistakes, and everyone does that. Making mistakes makes you human. It does not makes you a monster. So it's okay. So when you are making those low risk choices in the beginning, and then you increase the complexity of those choices, you might notice at the end of the day that sometimes you made mistakes while making these choices. So now you have to forgive yourself and have compassion for yourself, and you have to tell yourself that it's okay to make mistakes. You can even write it on a piece of paper and put it somewhere where you can see. And at the end of the day, if you feel like all the decisions that you made for today, the choices that you made today, they were right, then please praise yourself for that. Congratulate yourself for that, for being able to make decisions who were right for you. And when the decisions don't go wrong, right, they go wrong, they cause any little bit of harm, then be compassionate for yourself. This is the way, this is the difference between the successful people and unsuccessful people. And I'm talking about success or failure in any area of their life. People who are successful, they keep on forgiving themselves. They know that it's okay to make mistakes. They don't fall into the pit of shame that, oh my God, I made a mistake and I'm unworthy. Do not associate your worthiness with the performance. Mm, Whenever you fall down, just get up and try harder this time. Just don't give up. Keep working towards your goal. And whenever you make mistakes, tell yourself it's okay. So replace perfectionism with learning. Those who forgive themselves for making mistakes and get up and start walking again, they are the ones who are actually learning. Because every time, whenever you fail, see that failure as a data and learn from that. When you learn from that data, next time you will always perform in a better way. So this is how you can replace the perfect. And those who are perfectionists, the moment they make any mistake, they will just go into depression. Oh, I made a mistake. I am a worthless person. I can never do anything right in my life. That's the difference. These people, they don't never grow. They never learn. They never become successful. They're never able to achieve what they want to achieve. So you have to forgive yourself. You have to be compassionate with yourself. Get up and start walking again. So that is how. This is the way. Make choices gradually, increase the complexity of the choices. Try to trust what you see, what you hear, how you make sense of the information, and congratulate yourself for the right things that you do, and forgive yourself for the mistakes that you make. And remember that you do not have to be a perfectionist, because it's not possible for humans to be perfectionist. Only God can be perfectionist. You have to learn from the mistakes that you make, and every time you make a mistake, take it as a data, learn from it, and move ahead.
What fears commonly arise when making new relationships after leaving a toxic group?
When someone leaves a toxic group or a toxic relationship, whether it's romantic relationship, friendship, inside your spiritual community, when you get betrayed, when you get disappointed in a relationship, in something that you invested emotionally, it can be very painful later on, because it brings a lot of shame for letting that happen to you. Now, you gave everything you could, your emotions, your time, your energy, everything. You committed and you tried your best, but still you were betrayed. So now you have fear of getting that repeated to you. There is a fear of repeated abuse, being mistreated, being manipulated, and missing the warning signs. What if I again get emotionally connected to someone, or to get involved in a group once again, and they also abuse me after some time? Because initially everything feels nice, initially a new relationship feels nice, but that's how those relationships also felt. Initially they were also nice, in fact they were better, because there was a lot of love bombing. In a spiritually harmful environments, there is a lot of love bombing in the initial phases. So how do I know? That place where there was so much love and acceptance in the beginning that it felt unreal. If they could betray, this person can also betray, because they are even love bombing me. I know this is how we make sense of things emotionally, but if you try to understand it rationally, on the psychological perspective, you would know that safe relations never start with love bombing. It's always the toxic relationships, toxic mm, relationships with the person or the group, whenever it starts with love bombing, it's always going to end up in a bad way. So but when someone is distressed, they don't think very rationally, they think from emotional perspective, and from emotional perspective it doesn't feel very safe getting very close to someone, calling someone your friend, investing your time and energy, because it's like your body makes you feel repelled to new relationships, because your body remembers how much investments you did in those relationships, and now everybody just betrayed you and you're lonely and you don't have anything, you didn't get anything in return. So your body just tries to warn you, your nervous system tries to warn you, and it keeps you in hypervigilance, and you don't really want to get close to anyone because there is a lot of fear of repeated abuse, being manipulated, and you fear, what if this time also I miss the warning signs? There is a lot of fear of vulnerability, there is difficulty opening up because you feel that what if I open up and tell about my vulnerability, then this person weaponizes it against me, as spiritually harmful people also do. They learn you, they study you. Even in personal relationships, manipulative people, they learn you, they listen to you because they want to know your vulnerability so that they would know how to now use it against you, to control you, or to get whatever they want to get out of you. So there is fear of vulnerability
Hmm.
also. How can you call someone you as your friend if you can't get vulnerable around them? And fear of there is also worry about losing your autonomy. Some people who are emotionally weak, who are codependent, people pleaser kind of people, when they get into a relationship, they value it so much. And usually these people have some trauma from their past, could be coming from their parents. It's mostly from their parents or the primary caregivers. When these people they get close with someone, they just
Hmm.
uh, feel that closeness, that love, acceptance for the first time because it did came from the parents. So now when it's coming from an adult relationship, they just want to cling to this. They just want that relationship to ever end, no matter how much they are being harmed in that relationship. So in destructive relationships, in harmful relationships, when a person becomes codependent, the other person can do whatever they want to, and usually they take away their autonomy. So there is a lot of worry about your autonomy being taken away once again in a controlling relationship, because you know you're an emotional person, you get attached to someone else again like that, you might lose their autonomy to please them, to keep that relationship intact. Also, if we are talking about someone coming from a spiritual group and making a new relationship with someone spiritual or someone belonging to another group or from your old group as well, there will always be fear that what if I get involved in the group once again, my old group, a new toxic group, like that. So there is a lot of fear around, what if this happens again, what if that happens again, what if I am mistreated again, what if I'm exploited again, what if I become vulnerable and they weaponize that information against me. So there is a lot of hyper vigilance around being getting close to someone because it reminds you of the trauma trigger. These things become trauma triggers, and they remind you of the past traumatic incidents. It may not be always that you're remembering the exact event, but your body remembers the experience that you had there and the experience that you had afterwards because of those relationships. So your nervous system just tries to keep you safe, and that's why this hypervigilance around anyone who tries to get close to you or you who you think you want to become friends as, it becomes just difficult to trust people in general.
How can survivors build healthy, safe relationships without becoming isolated?
Isolation can be very destabilizing, especially if you are distressed, and
Mhm.
leaving a community, leaving the relationship can put you in a really very delicate place where you are sad, you are distressed, you have trauma, you have depressed. It's very important to get into relationships. It's very important to have people in your life. Social support is very important. But as I said in the previous response, it's difficult to build relationship because of so much of hypervigilance. Your body thinks it's better to stay alone than to get into a relationship that hurts me again. But we have to come out of it. We need to find safe people, because being lonely is not going to help. It's going to make things worse for us. So just like I suggested, to take small steps towards developing self trust. Similarly, we need to develop trust in people once again, and that also need to be done very gradually. So we have to slowly build trust in other people also. Whenever you're trying to, if you come across a person who feels safe, and you're thinking of having friendship with them, but you're not sure, so you can do the following things. First of all, observe the consistency over time. Usually the healthy people, they have a consistent behavior. Unhealthy people, they can overwhelm you with love, attention, affection at one point, and another point they will make it feel like you don't exist or they don't want you. So if there is inconsistency, it means the behavior is not authentic. They are showing that love because they want something from you, and it almost always happens with people who comes from toxic spiritual communities. Even the healthy ones, those who are aggressively preaching, they while they are doing the preaching thing, they will show excessive love, and when they are not, they would behave like you don't exist. So they don't understand. Most of them are very well meaning people who think they are doing the service to God and to people, but they don't understand that this approach is toxic. You should not show fake love to anyone. You should not show fake concern, fake love to anyone. Intense amount of love at one point, and another point you show that person will get confused because they don't understand. They're not in the same place as you are. You are doing this because you want to bring people to your group, but they don't understand that they are going to take that love personally, especially if this person is alone, if they have trauma, if they are going through any problem in their life, any diverse so adversity in life. So they are going to take that seriously. They could get emotionally attached to you. This is a toxic behavior, but a lot of people don't know, and some they do know, and they do use it purposely to attract people, to recruit people in their groups. But we so remember that this is a red flag. When the behavior is inconsistent, it could be a red flag, almost always a red flag. So see if their behavior, their attitude towards you is consistent. Observe it for a period of time. Do not rush into the friendship. Avoid any premature disclosure. I know it can be very tempting when you meet a safe person and you're going through a lot. It can be very you can feel very tempting to disclose everything with them, tell them all about your trauma, your problems, and how people failed you and all that. But don't do that. For that, there are support groups on Facebook. You can join these private support groups that are not public, and you can post anonymously in these groups about what you went through without revealing your identity. And for the sake of safety, you can also keep hidden the identity of your group or the leaders or whoever wronged you. Even if you are coming from you're having any other issue, like you have parents who have abused you, spouse who has abused you, anything, you can find a Facebook group for that. That is private, not public, and post anonymously and vent everything there. And you will also get a lot of support in these spaces. So this, or you can seek a therapist, a psychologist, a counselor if you can afford. These are the safe places to vent, and these are the safe ways to vent, where the information that you share, the vulnerabilities that you share, they will not be used against you. Do not share all your problems, your traumas, your hardships with a new friend that you've just met. This is very important. Any kind of trauma you are coming from, if you're trying to make a new friends and you are a lonely person, you will feel very tempted, but don't do this. Also, boundary development is very important. People who get abused, they usually lack boundaries, because a lack of boundary is what allows you to get abused. We all live in homes, houses, because we want to protect it. If someone sleeps on a street, they can easily get run over by a vehicle. Any animal can attack them. They could get um, any kind of damage from the weather, bad weather, heat, cold, whatever. So boundaries are important. Boundaries are what keep us safe. And similarly, we need emotional boundaries in relationship also. So try to understand your boundaries and enforce them in every relationship. Some people think that loving someone, having a close, good friendship, close relationship means that you shouldn't have any boundaries. No, any relationship that does not have boundaries can never be a healthy relationship, and it can never help benefit both people that are involved. In some cases it can help one person that is involved but not both of them. Every healthy relationship has boundaries. So learn about boundary development, identify your personal limits, and also practice enforcing them while communicating with other people. And also at the same time respect other people's boundary, because then if you don't, then you'll become a narcissist. You don't want to become a narcissist, you want to become a person who loves themselves and also respect other people. So understand what your boundaries are, and when if you come across someone who does not understand boundaries very well, you can teach them. You can tell them that this is my boundary and I will not like it if you cross it. And you can also tell them that I will also respect your boundaries. And that's when healthy relationships start. Healthy relationship always based on respect. And then relationship diversification is also very important. I have seen that codependent people pleaser kind of people, they get very intensely attached to one person, and they do not have a lot of friends. And such people are very vulnerable to toxic relationship, and mostly they are in toxic relationships. And then that toxic person in that toxic relationship, they would do further efforts, they would make further efforts to isolate you from the rest of the world. So it's very important to not get very close to one person, especially if you have a history of trauma. Do not get very close to one person. Have multiple support sources, so that if one person is mistreating you, you can go to another person for a reality check. And also you do not emotionally dependent so much on one person that they get to take away your autonomy by controlling you. Because if you have only one relationship, we have a very innate need to have a human connections. If I have only one human connection, then I would be totally dependent on this person, and I would let them do whatever they want to do to me, and I will not question, I will not dissent. And so now they get so much power over me. Even if they are not very bad person, they would know that it's easy to manipulate this person, and they would manipulate me, they would exploit me, they would mistreat me, because they know that I'm not going anywhere. I'm dependent on them. So it can be very disruptive. So have multiple support system, have a lot of friends, and no, do not get very close to anyone. And after a lot of time, when you have observed that a few of them or one of them is a consistent person, they respect your boundaries, and they too have their boundaries, and they want their boundaries to be respected. If you identify over a long time that one or two people, they are actually very emotionally healthy person on the basis of psychology, then you can get into a close friendship or a relationship. But avoid over dependence on one person or a group initially. Let's say if you have left a group, or if let's say you were never a part of a group or a spiritual group or any kind of group, and now you become a part of group and you start to like that, remember that do not become fully dependent even on a group. Full emotional dependency, I would say over emotional dependency on any person or any group is going to harm you. So have a relationship diversification. So gradually build trust in people, observe them, enforce boundaries, and have multiple sources of social support, so that you feel supported, you are not emotionally overly attached to anyone, and you get a lot of time to understand, evaluate a relationship, so that finally you can make a decision who you want to get close with.
What challenges do survivors face when trying to reconnect with faith?
Yeah, this one is also very important. First, we try to connect with ourselves. So these are the three main steps in reclaiming ourselves: is getting starting to trust ourselves once again, building trust in the community, in society, and then the last one is rebuilding trust in the faith itself. Because when someone uh, loses connection with a spiritual community they were deeply involved with, and now when they leave, it can disturb their connection to God also. And if one tries to reconnect, there are a lot of challenges that they have to go through. There are a lot of trust related barriers. There is a distrust of authorities in general, and especially religious authority. Now you got betrayed by people who you deeply trusted, who you saw as equivalent to God, and you did so much emotional investment and invested so much energy and time and only to at the end understand they were just abusers, and they were just trying to do things to please themselves, their own senses, and they were not actually very much interested in your growth. It was all about them. They were just trying to nourish their ego. Now when you come across even someone who's authentically trying to preach, trying to teach, trying to help people grow spiritually, you wouldn't see an authority figure same again. There will always be a sense of distrust. What if this person is also like them? What is all of them are like that? There are always going to be a sense of suspicion. There will always be a fear of deception, because when you go through trauma, the trauma gets stored in your body and you can't just shake it off, because now you left the person or you left the group and you can't just shake it off. It stays inside you unless you do the proper healing. You go through the proper healing process, and especially in the initial days of the healing, it feels like nothing has healed and you still have all of it inside you. So there are a lot of trust related barrier. It becomes very difficult to trust. It's just like your body feels like shutting down in presence of anything that reminds you of the past. Then emotional barriers are also there. There is a lot of anger towards religion, although you might have clear evidences that it wasn't God, it wasn't religion, it was not the scriptures, but people who weaponized all of this to harm you, to manipulate you, to benefit themselves or to their ego. You know, you have this evidence in front of you, you have rational knowledge about all of that, but the emotional part of you, it's not just the programming that was installed inside you, the everything that you went through, the trauma. So the it doesn't just stops because you left. So emotional barriers would also be there. Also there is a lot of disappointment, there's a lot of grief that causes anger. So the moment you see anything that reminds you of the time when you trusted everything, with you opened all your heart, you trusted completely, and then you were betrayed, it brings a lot of anger inside you. So these emotional barriers, the anger, the grief, the disappointment, it also makes you very hyper vigilant and repulsive to anything that reminds you of your past. And everything was centered around faith, everything was centered around God. Sometimes just someone, when you listen to someone who is very genuinely speaking about God, genuinely trying to help people grow spiritually, you might feel angry towards them. You don't always think very rationally or very intellectually about why you are being angry. It's just your nervous system responding to something that reminds you of a trauma memory. So and also there is a lot of confusion also. You now clearly know that you were being abused because you understand the red flags of toxic communities. You understand you know about the red flags of toxic leaders, you know the signs and symptoms of someone going through spiritual abuse, but still sometimes you will feel confused which part of that was abuse and what part was faith or spiritual guidance. Because everything, every mistreatment, every abuse, every exploitation, every control, every coercion, everything was disguised as guidance, as spiritual guidance. So if you sit down and try to distinguish, it brings a lot of confusion, a lot of shame, And this fear, what if I'm wrong, what if I'm wrong about everything, and maybe, as I said, I deserve to go through all that. So there is a lot of confusion going around also. So one needs to re-evaluate the beliefs to make sense of all of that. You need to understand, you need to deeply study your scriptures, what the actual teachings are that are being taught, and so that you can separate the mistreatment from the abuse. So these are the things, these are the challenges that one goes through while trying to reconnect with faith once again.
Awesome. What does healthy spirituality look like after spiritual abuse?
Anything that is healthy would make you feel good about yourself, would allow you to grow, would allow you to expand, would liberate you, and would make you feel free. Anything that's harmful would want you to shrink, would make you feel distressed, would cause anger, sorry, anxiety, depression inside you. So the biggest green flag is that freedom. There will be freedom to question. You will be allowed to disagree. So there will be freedom to question, freedom to disagree. This is the biggest green flag. If a community, if a leader allows you to question with respect, there are some leaders who would not openly discourage you from questioning, but if you ask them a question whose answer they don't know, they would make fun of you in front of everyone, and then everybody would laugh at you. So this is a subtle way of shutting you down, giving you a message that you're not allowed to ask too many questions. Just come, listen, and go. If you ask too many questions, you would be humiliated, and all this happens on such a subtle level that you don't understand initially. When you ask a question and the leader mocks you for that, and then everybody laughs, the first thought that comes to your mind is that maybe something is wrong with me, because everybody is laughing and I am the one who's laughed at. So they are together on one side, and it's like I'm on the other side. So if they are all together on one side and I'm the only one on the other side, I have to be wrong. So, and it happens very subtly. So a green flag, the biggest green flag is that you would be allowed safely to ask questions. And sometimes when the leaders don't know the answers, they might say things like, oh, I don't know the answer to this question, but I will try to find out, or maybe I will tell you later, or I'll talk to my senior, something like that. This is the green flag. Also, there is personal agency. The choice, the spirituality is choice based. You will be allowed to make choices, and there will be respect for your conscience. If they ask you to do something and your conscience doesn't allow you because you think that it's wrong, I shouldn't be doing this, I shouldn't be harming people, hurting people, manipulating people, or anything that they ask you to do, but you don't feel like doing that, they would respect that choice. So respect for choices, and allowing you to approach your spiritual practices on the basis of choices that you make. That's also one of the biggest green flag. It means that you will not be controlled in that environment, you will not be coerced in that environment. Then psychological safety. This is the biggest, one of the biggest green flag. Whenever someone is in an environment that is harmful for them, their body always knows first before their brain does. When you are talking to someone, when you are standing in a room or you're talking to someone, and you feel uneasy in your body, you feel discomfort in your body, your heart is racing, your heart is pounding, your breathing gets irregular, and you're sweating and you're feeling something inside your stomach, you know that your body is telling you, your body is trying to give you a message that you are not safe in this environment, you're not safe in uh, around this person. So psychological safety, the safety that we feel inside our body, the felt safety, you will feel that. It's a green flag, it's a big green flag, that when you are in around a leader or around a member or inside a group, you feel safe inside you. It shows that this group is probably safe one. And how it's different from love bombing? Then consistency. If the behaviors remains consistent over the time, it means that it's genuine. And there is no manipulation through guilt. Let's say they invite you to a program and they invite you to a class or to a gathering and you say no. They don't try to manipulate you by guilt tripping you, by telling you that how unfortunate you are because you are rejecting the invitation to that program. Because your spirituality is not enslaved to a group's program or a gathering. You have a personal relationship with God and you are allowed to choose which class, which program, which function you want to attend and which you don't want to attend. There are infinite numbers of gatherings going around the world. You are allowed to choose which one you want to attend. So if they don't try to guilt trip you, manipulate you by telling that just because you rejected the invitation to the so and so program, it means you are causing some harm to your spirituality. No, that guilt tripping has started, and it can be a red flag. And a community who does not do that, it means they are safe community.
Lastly, why is embracing personal autonomy essential for long-term healing?
It's that embracing autonomy isn't just important for healing; it's actually a part of healing. We would say someone as completely emotionally healed or a healed person only if they're autonomous. Because when you're autonomous, you know what you want, you know where you want to go, and you also are allowed to figure out how to go about this. And also, when there is restoration of agency, there is ownership of beliefs and there's ownership of life choices. And when there is ownership of life choices, whether you fail or you succeed, you are the one who's accountable for whatever happens. So if you make a mistake, you can learn from it and you can use that information to do it better next time. And if you succeed, you can congratulate yourself and it motivates you further. So it's always helpful instead of depending on other people for that. If we always seek external approval, external motivation, and external whether making any decision, if we always seek other people's validation, their approval, if something goes wrong, we are going to hold them accountable. That's also not helpful. If the mistakes that
Mm,
I have made in my life, holding other people accountable for that, it's not going to help. If I can hold myself accountable, I can learn from that. Because the other person, they can say that no, no, it was you responsible. So there is going to be an argument who was actually responsible. They would say that you didn't do exactly how I told you to do, that's why you failed. So now you have no one to hold accountable. You can't hold them accountable because they say that you were accountable and you know that it wasn't your decision to make. So it's better, always better, to make your own choices, so that when something goes right or wrong, you can take the accountability, you can take the credit for it, and make it's also easier to decide what to do next, how to do it in a better way. Growth becomes easy when you're making your own choices. And also, someone who has personal autonomy is very connected to themselves. They know what they want, they know what they don't want, they know what feels right to them. And so every action that they take in their life, they are all aligned. But I have experienced this in my life, so that's what I'm saying. I used to be a person who would always listen to everyone's
mm,
suggestion. Parents, sibling, friends, neighbor, husband, in-laws, colleagues, everyone. I was a person at one point who would take everybody's suggestion and try to follow them in my life. And whenever I would fail, I would get distressed and I would go back to them and tell them that I followed your suggestion and now this happened. They would always blame me because didn't do it in a right way. You should have done it in a right way, that then you would have succeeded, then it wouldn't have harmed you. And then a point came when I stopped taking suggestions from everyone. Now I do only what I think is right, and life is so much better after that. And when I make mistakes, I know how what was I lacking and how I can do it better next time. And when I do something right, I feel so proud of myself that I made this decision, and so good things happen to me. In even in terms of parenting, I used to take decisions from other people, and it made me a horrible parent because how would other people know how I have to treat my children? I know what their problems are, challenges are, strengths are, and I know everything about them. I can give a
mm,
small piece of information to someone, and on the basis of they can give me a big decisions. That's not the right thing. That's not fair also. So you should take ownership of your life choices and your beliefs also, especially the spiritual beliefs. We're talking about spiritual context right now. And when someone embraces autonomy, it also protects you from future abuse. People who are connected to themselves, people who are autonomous, who believe in themselves, and who are able to think critically, they are not very easy to abuse. It's always it's always those who keep on listening to everyone are the ones who get abused. Those who believe in themselves, nobody can manipulate them. Because uh, when you know who you are, when you know what you're doing, when you know what you want, it immediately reduces susceptibility to control. Only confused people can be controlled. People who are aware, nobody can control them. You cannot say anything, you can't even give them a fake compliment, they would know, because they observe these things, so they would know. And anyone who has strong critical thinking, they cannot be abused, they cannot be exploited, they would immediately question. And if you get upset because they are questioning, they won't be afraid, because they are not afraid of losing you. People who love themselves, who are connected to themselves, who
mm,
are autonomous, they're not afraid of losing anyone, because they know that only good people would never try to threaten you, that if you don't allow me to control you, I will leave you. It's always bad people. And if a bad person leaves you, it's like trash took it out, took out itself. It's good for you. So the growth becomes authentic. The spirituality
mm,
is self-directed. Even other areas of your life, they are also self-directed. And the decisions that you make in your life, they are value-based. You know what's best for you. If you allow other people to make decision for you, always remember, they will make you make decisions that benefit them. I have so much experience about this. Even people who are very close to you, if you always seek their guidance, a lot of time people are going to give you guidance that would somehow benefit them also. And sometimes some people who are really really mean, they can make you do things that completely benefits them and not benefits you at all. And when you get distressed, when you fail, when you go back to them crying, oh, I made this decision because you told me to do so, and now I am in so much distress, they would again blame you because you didn't do it in a right way. Go again and do it in a right way, then everything will be fine. Because they want to take, don't want to go through any discomfort, they don't want to take an accountability, because they don't care for you. So make your own decisions. Even if you're making the wrong ones, make your own decisions. Embracing personal autonomy is very, very important if you want to get healed from anything. And also, if you're trying to become a better version of yourself, believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. I would always say that. That's the best thing that you can do for yourself. Because if you don't believe in yourself, you go ahead and believe in other people's decisions. A lot of vultures would come and surround you and try to take benefit of you. Your money, your time, your emotional energy, everything they would use for their benefit. Why give them all of that? It's yours. Use it for yourself. It's okay. Make mistakes on the way, but use it for yourself. Because self autonomy can make you staying autonomous throughout your life. Keep believing in yourself as much as you can. This is the only thing that's going to heal you, that's going to make you the best version of yourself.
awesome. Thanks so much for your time, Anu.
Thank you, Siddharth.